Picture this. A researcher in a lab is bent over a 10,000-year-old skull, angling a lamp into its open jaw with a dental pick in hand. She's checking the molars for decay, the way a dentist checks yours. She finds almost none. Worn down flat in places, chipped here and there, but no dark rotten pits, no cavities eating through the enamel. She's seen this pattern dozens of times now, and it still catches her off guard, because this person brushed nothing, flossed nothing, saw no dentist in their entire life, and still has better teeth than most people walking around today. So here's the actual question. Did ancient humans really not get cavities? Or is that just something people repeat without checking it? And if it's true, what were they doing right that we somehow stopped doing? The honest answer starts with one very unglamorous fact about how a cavity actually forms in the first place. A cavity needs three things at once: bacteria living in the mouth, sugar or starch for that bacteria to eat, and enough time for the acid it produces to eat through enamel. Take away the sugar and starch, and the bacteria mostly starve. That's it. That's the entire mechanism. So picture an early hunter-gatherer's daily meal, not a lab diagram, an actual plate. Strips of tough meat, wild greens, roots, nuts, maybe some fruit in season. Chewy, fibrous, low in the kind of sticky, fermentable carbohydrate that feeds cavity-causing bacteria. Their bacteria weren't starving from willpower. There just wasn't much for them to eat. Now picture the flip. About 10,000 years ago, watch a small Neolithic farming village instead. A woman is grinding grain between two stones, turning wheat into flour, boiling it into a thick, starchy porridge, feeding it to a child who eats it every single day for years. Compare her skull to the hunter-gatherers, and the difference is stark. Dig sites that capture this exact transition show cavity rates jumping sharply, sometimes several times over, right as farming takes hold. Sticky, cooked starch clings to teeth in a way raw meat and wild greens never did, and it gave the bacteria in every mouth in that village something to work with, day after day, meal after meal. But here's the part that keeps this from being a clean story, and it's worth being honest about it. Some hunter-gatherer sites in the ancient Near East, communities gathering and grinding wild cereal grasses years before anyone planted a deliberate crop, already show a noticeable uptick in cavities. Picture the same kind of grinding stone, the same starchy paste, just made from wild grass seed instead of a planted field. The cause wasn't farming itself, it was the starch. Farming just made that starch the main character of every meal instead of an occasional one. Modern comparisons back this up in a way that's easy to picture directly. Researchers studying groups like the Hadza in Tanzania, hunter-gatherers today who eat wild plants, meat, and honey, and who use no toothbrush, no floss, no dentist, keep finding remarkably low cavity rates, close to what shows up in the ancient skeletal record, and far below the average industrialized mouth. Nobody there is doing anything special for their teeth. Their diet is just quietly doing the work most of us now try to undo with a toothbrush twice a day. Now the honest turn, because no cavities does not mean no dental problems, and picturing ancient teeth as simply healthier misses half the story. Look closely at that same jaw, and you'll find teeth worn down, flat and short, sometimes ground almost to the gum line from a lifetime of chewing tough, fibrous food, loaded with grit, sand, and tiny bits of stone from grinding tools. That wear sometimes exposed the soft pulp inside a tooth, and an exposed pulp meant infection, abscesses, and real serious pain, with no dentist to fix it, ever. Picture a hunter-gatherer years into adulthood, hollow-cheeked from tooth loss, or wincing every time they bite down. Cavities weren't their problem. Wear damage and infection were. And they weren't doing nothing about it either. Look closely at the sides of some ancient teeth, going back even before our species into Neanderthal jaws, and you will find small grooves worn into the enamel between the teeth, the kind of mark a thin twig or blade of grass leaves behind when it's dragged back and forth over and over for years. Archaeologists read that as habitual toothpick use, someone routinely working debris out from between their teeth with whatever thin tool was on hand. Long before floss existed, something very close to it already did. Put it together, and the picture isn't ancient teeth were simply better. It's that ancient diets starved one very specific disease almost completely, while quietly feeding a different set of problems instead. Take away sticky starch, and cavities mostly disappear. Add in tough, gritty, unprocessed food, chewed for decades with no dentist on call, and you get serious wear, exposed pulp, and infection instead. Agriculture and eventually refined sugar flipped that trade in the other direction. Cavities everywhere, wear and infection less so, and modern dentistry showed up specifically to manage the mess that flip created. Neither version is the healthy one and the other the broken one. They're just two very different bills, and every human diet since has been paying one of them.